Hello, hello, howdy folks. How we doing? Happy Thursday. We are back with more from Chess Dojo. Alrighty. Let's see, who do we got? Oh, I don't have our Discord open here. Excuse me. Nice. We are live. Hey, we got Matt Chess, NBB96. How is it going? How we doing, fellas? Who's ready for a new weekend, huh? I think the weekend should start on Friday. I think Friday should generally be a day off because everyone loves Fridays because Fridays are it's like the day before, but that would become Thursday. So you'd actually get two for one. You get another day off on Friday, and then Thursday would then become the new fun day. I think with AI, we should just do it. We should just pull the trigger. Hello, Udi the broker, Swiss alien. How's it going? Welcome, folks. Welcome. So today I will be doing part 2 of the weekly Dojo Graduates show. And yeah, I did part 1 yesterday with all of the players under 1,000 that have graduated to the next cohort. Today we'll be doing the players above 1,000 that are graduated this past week, reviewing their profiles, taking a look at 1 or 2 games, and hopefully offering advice for them and others around their level to keep progressing. It's crazy. I mean, at this point, it's just become normalized that every week we just have like 25 graduates. This week we have 26. And every week people are, moving up through the program and someone's graduating. And sometimes, it's just people that join and they didn't land in the right cohort, so they have a quick graduation. But quite a few are legit grads, people doing the work, putting in the time and the effort, and then they go and gain the rating, and then they graduate. And, it's like, I don't want to be too scientific, but I feel like we've proven without a reasonable doubt that if you follow the work and you input good effort, you will see results. So, let's get into it. And I think yesterday we finished with Lutfisk, and who was, yes, one of these quick grads. And today we'll be doing the graduates above 1,000. So we'll be starting with Wheat Belly, number 1. And yeah, NBB up next, absolutely. Can take a look at a couple of games. Wheat Belly on to their 3rd graduation, going from 1,000, 1,100 to 11, 1,200. 66 points earned in their program. And let's check them out. And I think I want to switch to this view. Yeah, alrighty. So this is Wheat Belly. We can see their heat map here. Nice, pretty active last couple weeks. So it looks like they've been on and off, but playing regularly and then really studious last couple weeks, and now they're graduating. Look at that. Look at that. It's a staircase. It's what we call a staircase rating graph. Okay, activity. Just at a glance, already looks great because it's color-coded. Yellow is games and analysis, green is tactics. These are the 2 biggest buckets generally we want to see up until around 13, 14, 1,500. And then we want to see more middle games and end games and openings at that point. So good-looking activity graph. Started building a response to E4. Completed chess book. A lot of people like the chess book nowadays. A lot of people are on that chess book stuff. Doing a lot of chess book.
Yeah.
All right, 1,100. Finally, we got the graduation. Oh, did we miss a graduation? Oh, I'm sorry. We missed the graduation message. Let's check it out. I had a hiatus from the training program. I mainly watched Friday Night Fights, played 5 plus 5, and correspondence games. Recently, I spent a lot of time grinding chess move tactics and mating puzzles and found them very instructive. I'm looking forward to the expanded tactics training Jesse said is planned for the dojo. Yeah, we are working on that. Please review my game against Albertus Pictor. It's the one I need most help understanding. It also has the best time graph. How, though, does my opponent score higher than me in spite of timing out? um, that's a great question. I don't think we accounted for flagging. I don't know. I don't remember that ever being part of the discussions whether flagging should give you a lower time score. You would think that it would, but yeah, I'm not sure. Interesting. Okay, so here we have um, Wheat Belly's activity and playing a lot, annotating games. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's go and check out one of the games we have here. This one's from August 5. That's the most recent one. Let's go back home. Super easy. Hey, we got Cross. How's it going? Okay, great. And we've got a game here. No, we wanted to look at the. Excuse me. There is a request to look at the game against Albertus Pictoris. So I guess we won this one on the clock, but maybe didn't deserve it on the board. But yeah, I'll be happy to take a look. I need to take a very quick break. I'll be right back, folks. So I will see you all uh, just just a moment. Alrighty, folks. I see the discussion has been riveting. Let's get back to the show. Okay, so we've got a game from Wheat Belly. Our hero playing black. And this was game 60, chess.com. King's Indian Defense, London system. Nice, nice. So I'm a fan of this one for black. Knight c6, g4. Yeah. This doesn't look like a very strong advance on the king side, because it's not clear what white has going for them that they can justify this. So black played rook e8, preparing e5. I would wonder if we can just play e5 right away, and I don't really see why not. Yeah, so this would be my first thing, is like, why not just go e5 straight away? Since we clearly have enough defenders on it. Sure, maybe white goes bishop g5, but that would be the case with or without rook to e8. And I don't think this pin should concern us very much either. We can even go here and g5 if we want. But yeah, I think this is how I would handle this one. Here we can unpin with queen e8. I think perfectly reasonable move if we wanted to. I think g5 looks okay as well, actually, because I don't see white's knights getting to the f5 square very easily. So this one feels like this would be quite nice for black. I would even consider e4 here, actually, as a thematic idea that's very much worth checking. To me, this would look nice for black, as our bishops kind of open up, and it's not so easy for white to get after our king. Either we trade queens, or we're going to put our queen on f6, and yeah, I think we definitely could have gone for e5 right away, and then, okay, followed up from there. Rook e8 is fine, but not really necessary to execute our plan. Okay, white goes g5, knight h5, here, e5, good. Takes. Now, this is listed as a mistake. I would say the only mistake here is that we spent 6 seconds on it. So this is something we talked about yesterday and the week before, and we'll continue to talk about this the week after. Folks, you have time on the clock for a reason. It's to spend it on decisions like this. If you don't spend your time at the end of the game, it is time wasted. It's not time you get to bank for the next game. It's just time you lost that you could have spent using it to study the board and learn more about the game. It's not just about, like, if you spend more time, you'll play better. Of course you will. You'll also just learn more about the game by thinking about it more, by spending more time looking at the position and considering different ideas. You'll simply improve more if you do this. So here the mistake, I think DE5 is fine, but only spending 6 seconds on it is not okay, because we have 4 captures possible, right? And that means if you spent 6 seconds to play DE5, forgetting the time it takes for the hand to make the move, that means maximum you spent 1.5 seconds on each of these moves, analyzing on average, which is not a lot of time. I mean, that's like stockfish levels of analysis. If you can figure out in that much time which of these recaptures is best. Yeah, because maybe you wanted to, and it's not even about the decision. This is what I really want, because a lot of people, they get stuck on, like, oh, I blundered, or I made the right move, or I didn't. It's not whether you made the right move or not. You didn't give yourself time to even think about this. Like, you just guessed. Basically, you just guessed. And we don't want to guess in chess. We want to explore the position. Actually, I mean, chess is very interesting. I'll tell you guys a story. Hello, SM Pooh Hello. Apparently, you guys know the Najdorf Sicilian. It gets its name from a player, Miguel Najdorf, who was very, very strong in his time, which was around the time of Fischer, maybe a little bit before. And Najdorf was notorious for apparently talking to people during the game. I'm not sure if he would ever speak to his opponents, but he would talk to others about his position, and he'd be like, "What do you think about my position?" And he'd just like discuss the game openly, which now is a bit of a no-no. Not supposed to do that, but back then, I think it was more acceptable. And apparently, he would even. This is how much he loved chess. He would even sit down at in other people's chairs. Like they're playing in a tournament, and someone is sitting. Everyone has their own board. Najdorf is playing. But because he wanted to enjoy the position from someone's perspective, he would sit down in their chair. Apparently, when he was the captain of, I believe it was the Argentinian Olympiad team, he was the captain, so he's not playing. But while his players weren't at their table, he would sit in their chairs just so he could look at the board from there. So that's how much the guy enjoys being at the chessboard, analyzing, and you guys are just playing moves in 6 seconds. You guys are just like, I just play. So there, I would say like enjoy the game. Try to enjoy the game. You can't enjoy the game if you're playing so fast. Then you're just in blitz mode, and that's not really savoring. The chess. Apparently, Najdorf once sat in someone else's chair and like made a move for them. Like that's how much he was enjoying their position. He made a move for them, which I think is like definitely. I don't even back then. I think that was like not okay. I mean, we can say it was like it was a different time, but I feel like even back then, you can't. I don't think you can do that. Hello, skeptics. Hello. So, anyways, going back to the actual position on the board, yeah, 95 looks good, keeping the diagonal open. Because why do we want to keep stuff open? Because your opponent has spent time on the king side. So of course we want to open the center for the pieces. But of course the big lesson here is like you got to at least think about it. The more you think about it, the more likely you are to come to the right conclusion, and the more likely you are to improve your chess game. Okay, so that's our daily rant on people not spending enough time. So it can be applied to a lot of games. So yeah, there we go. All right, so takes h4. Black plays f5 and knight e2. f5 I think is quite reasonable. It's an interesting move. The only drawback would be if white were to en passant, and in which case I think. I'm not sure how we recapture here. Maybe with the queen, maybe with the knight. But I don't think this would be bad for black necessarily. We can try to push for e4. We potentially have the g4 square for the knight. The bishop can be developed to g4. I think, yeah, white's position doesn't look very active. So I'm not really worried about our king. So to me, f5 looks very reasonable. Another option I think I would consider here for sure is e4. And okay, the note here is they didn't think that the trade would be good for they don't want to trade the e pawn for the b pawn. But I think this one is more about opening up our rook and our bishop, and less about the pawns. Objectively, I'm not totally sure what's happening here. I think I would definitely prefer black's position. Yeah, without a doubt. We're not down any material. I think we're better developed. The biggest thing though is the king. Like, our king is safe. White's pushed the pawns up, but they have no open files. They have a check. They have one check that we have covered. We can put the king on h8 if we want. White's king though doesn't really have a safe square. Like, it's never gonna feel comfortable anywhere on the board. It's never gonna feel comfortable on the queen side, and yeah, it's never gonna feel comfortable on the king side either. So I like black here. I think that's how I would evaluate the position. I wouldn't really pay so much attention to the pawns here. Okay, now f5, knight e2. So yeah, e4 I think playable. f5 looks fine. I don't think there's really much wrong with simple developing moves like b6, bishop b7, or bishop e6, queen d7, rook a d8, because white isn't really doing a whole lot that we need to be concerned about. Okay, so here. Bishop e6, knight g3, takes, knight b4. So now, okay, as a King's Indian player, and this is for other King's Indian players, we got to learn when to push e4. And basically, it's like whenever you can. Like if there's no piece on the e4 square and this is a legal move, then you should often do it. At least consider it. Now I think people might be like, "Oh, legal meaning like you don't lose the pawn." No, no, you can lose the pawn too. You can lose. I'm saying as long as it's like a legal move, it's very often a decent idea to push e4 because you open up your very powerful bishop. Here we're not losing a pawn, so here I think it's an absolutely um, what's the move? What's the word? Incessant move? No, it's necessary, but it starts with an I. Here, this is absolutely. I don't know, inherent move. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Incessant move. It's an incessant move, guys, okay? That's not, it doesn't mean what I want it to mean, but that is the word that is coming to my brain. Okay, so E4, and oh, I just heard my doorbell. Folks, I gotta take a quick break. Please discuss the position amongst yourselves after knight to B4. And I'll be right back. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, what did we come up with here? So who's better and why? Okay, Poohbear says they would love to keep light squared bishop as white here. I think in general we would want that. Agreed. Allowing knight takes d3 in any form would have to be in black's favor. Very good. Okay, so bishop c4. Now f4. Maybe he takes and queen d5, but then white can trade queens and is okay. So f4, I like it. Opening up the e file. Bishop drops back. Take, knight d5. Queen e2. Knight b6. Hmm. So on knight b6, what worries me, okay, white took and castled. And then black played here. And yeah, both players just, wow, yeah, just ignoring the e4 square completely. Okay, so this is definitely about the e4 square right here. Black should have played e4 at this moment. I think here you could have played e4. And from white's point of view, white should have put the knight on e4, like as soon as possible. And then white should be able to reinforce the knight. But if this knight is on e4, then black's pieces are not having a lot of fun. So that's why black should have played e4. Definitely here after rook f1. Now it's not even like a tactical thing. We'll go back when it was like a tactical thing, talk about how to like look at it. But here it's not even tactical. Here the pawn is defended. This is just, at this point, an absolutely necessary move for our position, because this is our King's Indian bishop, and just an essential, I think essential was the word I was looking for. I think it's an essential move. And I realize that it doesn't start with an I, and I'm not proud of that, but I think this move, I don't think that was the word I was looking for anyway, but this move is really imperative. Thank you, Scabby. It's truly imperative to the position. And here, yeah, it's just no question. No question. We need the bishop. We want to attack the white king. We want to checkmate. We're trying to win the game. And checkmate ends the game. And we need our pieces to be open for that. But I would have also played the move here. Now here it might be like, ooh, what about knight takes e4? Aren't we just losing a pawn? But then maybe we calculate further. We see we have queen e7. We calculate a little bit further. We see white has knight f6 check. We don't really want to give up our dark squared bishop here as black, although I think we could, and we're okay. We can consider king h8. Maybe we could consider the exchange sacrifice as well, with an attack on the dark squares. If rook d4, we have c5. Maybe c3 for white. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's really enough for black. Definitely some compensation, but hard to say. Hard to say. We're definitely not worried about the c7 pawn at any moment. Position is too dynamic for that, for such trifles, you know. I think maybe if we took here, I think the position is still playable. I wouldn't be so clear about this position. Maybe white goes h5. I kind of like white here. I definitely bishop fiend. So I don't know about e4 after analyzing, but I would definitely at least consider it here. At this point, though, queen e7, rook f1, I'm playing e4. Unless they outlaw the move, I'm playing it in this position. Now it's like absolutely essential. I was thinking here it was also worth playing, because at this point it's clear white wants to castle queenside, so we want to open up our bishop on the diagonal. And once again, if knight e4, bishop b2, then white's king never feels safe here. And I would think, yeah, I think black is doing well. Takes, we can take either way, and knight is pinned. So this is the big idea. Yeah, you got to learn from this game is pushing e4 in these positions to open up the bishop. Okay, so we go pawn hunting. Take. Rook g1. We go back. Bishop g3. Queen e7. Yeah, and all these moves, it's like I wish we play e4. I wish, this is really the main idea of the game we have to learn. Like push e4. Okay. So from here, white eventually gets the knight to e4. Should have kept it there. And oh, look at this. Mazel tov. We've gotten it on the board. And then white takes, and then we take. And that's that looks like a mistake. So now we're doing well. Now we're doing really well. And we won. Nice. Okay, and then there's a question about the time graph. Really good time rating, by the way, folks. See that 20, 26, 93, 24. See, you don't have to be a high-rated player, but you can still get a very nice time rating. So time usage spent, time usage here, really, really good. And yeah, I don't think we really count the flagging. I mean, for one, white was losing on the board, so I wouldn't count this as a loss on the clock. Because they're down 2 pieces. But white did use all of their time basically, so that's good. That's exactly what we want to be doing, spending all of our time. Now overall, time rating was good, but I do want to go back to opening moves. Opening moves were played really fast. So overall, time rating was great, but it doesn't really account for the opening at lower levels, because it kind of expects you to play quickly because it thinks like you're playing theory. But if we're not actually knowing the theory, then we should be spending time here. So we had a nice lesson on this one as well. Okay. Anyways, keep up the good work. Let's go to our next grad, which is NBB96, who is in the chat. And NBB writes, "It's been exciting to break past my most recent plateau, all thanks to the training structure provided by the dojo." Nice. Who's that? Okay, I've only focused on tactics and games plus analysis thus far, and I feel like this has been extremely helpful for my improvement. Currently working through Sarawan's Winning Chess Tactics. I play a weekly classical OTB game at my club. Nice. Win streak of 7 games. Wow. And I'm attending a tournament in my hometown of Nashville, Tennessee in a couple weeks. Oh, we got some dojers in around those parts, Tennessee. Looking forward to showing what I can do. I'm still a bit wordy side of my game analysis, but I've been more intentional about adding variation since your feedback class graduation. Nice, nice. All right, let's take a look. So NBV graduating second time. Oh, look at that heat map. Look at that. Now that's a heat map. Beautiful, beautiful. Lots of tactics, games and analysis, activity. We already know the pie chart is going to match. We already know. We already know. Does the pie chart match the heat map? Yes, it does. Okay. Nice. Winning chess tactics. And we had the graduation. Cool. Let's take a look at some games. Get the 100,000 round robin, my games. And okay, Nathan was asking about the latest 2 games. Absolutely. Let's look at the second most recent. So that would be against Larry Harding. Oh wait, I wanted to see the bio. Nathan Bell, 29 years old. Nashville, Tennessee. Father. Playing chess since 2021. Nice. Favorite player, Mikhail Tal. Favorite loading player, Jan Nepomniachtchi. Nice. Awesome. All right, I'm going to follow Nathan here. Let's take a look at these games. Okay, clearly we've been doing a lot of games analysis and tactics. Let's see how the game went. C4. Okay, so this looks like this was a 45-minute game, plus 5. So we got a bit tricked in the opening. E4, B6. And then White goes e5. Yeah, and this is no good, having to push our knight back. Yeah, maybe c5 here is playable. I would think d5 would be the most logical move. The idea to go e5, knight e4, but I don't know if this is actually... not sure if this is actually good. This, of course, wait, no, this is the, what is the famous, McKenna's attacks? I think the theory is like you go d4 here as black, and then takes. And basically white usually recaptures the pawn, black takes back on f6, and this position is playable. So this is, I think, the main option for black in this position. It's not an easy move order to face for Nimzo Indian players. McKenna's, yeah. But I think d5 is the critical line here for the theory, and then followed by d4. Knight e4 I think is not supposed to be so good. Maybe if they take once and then they push, maybe knight e4 is better in this version. Not exactly sure. Might have to check the theory on this one. Quietly though, away. Don't let any dojoers see you. You know, just like open up a browser, log out, the guest mode, you know, and look up the opening, so you know what to do, because you might face the guy next time. So you want to know what to do against his weapon here. We'll scrub this from the VOD after. Don't tell anyone I told you to do this. But openings are important. I mean, if you because if now I say openings are important, that doesn't mean spend all of your time analyzing lines. It just means like if you're playing an opponent, you know, more than once, like someone you see at your club, they play a specific opening, you know, it makes sense to prepare it a bit. You know, it makes sense to just kind of know what you're doing. I think that much is clear. Okay, so let's see how we manage to bounce back. d4, bishop b4, bishop d2, knight e7, a3, takes. And yeah, white I think is playing really well. Just he got a big space advantage and he's holding on to it. I think bishop b4 though, very reasonable. Like the way you're playing it. At some point, we're gonna want to play d6 to break in the center and get some space for our pieces. But I think bishop b4 is okay. I wouldn't take on c3. I would wait for a3. So yeah, knight e7, a3. We have to take d6. Yeah, I think we're worse here as black, but it's playable. And queen d2. Okay, we take here. Now it becomes very complicated, I would say. This is like kind of a Shigorin style of position, like Shigorin defense. Shigorin loved giving up his bishops and trying to get knights and a better structure with black. And this feels very Shigorin-esque. Maybe you can even play like knight c6. But no, taking makes sense. Yeah, force him to take with the d-pawn. White goes queen g5. Now he takes d4. So this gets really scary. He castled. Wow. Okay, I was expecting queen takes g7. This gets really sharp. I mean, here on queen g5, you know, like my instincts would be knight g6, not to allow the queen into g7. So let's see. Takes, de. And yeah, white can castle here and hit the king, but I feel like our king can be safe. Actually, maybe on the c7 square. Maybe this would be the safest square for the king. So you just have to get off of the diagonal quick enough before you get, as long as we don't get killed with like f4 bishop g2. I think we're quite okay here as black. But let's take a closer look. Let's just see. Yeah, let's say we go c5 to start castles. If you can castle with check, you should. I mean, it's like everyone knows this. Always castle with check, because it's like you castle and you give check, so it's like you kill two birds with one stone. So it's definitely a good idea in all cases, without question. Um, and then basically as black, we just want to play knight c6, rook d8, challenge for the d file so that white doesn't have time to establish a rook on d6. Of course, we're going to put pressure here, and we're actually hitting f4, so it's hard to this feels difficult for white to handle because these are some really weak squares. Like if f4, we just take it, I think, right away. If bishop g2, we can meet that with knight f4 or knight h4. And then otherwise, we can also just play here and here. So yeah, I think this endgame very, very comfortable for black. I think I would definitely take black there. The main thing is that like with white having the bishop here, you don't really want to let white kind of tear open the position by like trading off all these pawns. That's like the danger here. So e takes d4. I'd be very nervous about just queen takes g7. And yeah, let's say queen takes d4. And yeah, here white's bishops look a lot stronger than in the other position. Here I would think white is, I don't know if white's better, but I think white's doing better than in the other line for sure. He castles, which is very risky because now black can play c5 and does so. So, okay, principled move, right? Just like holding on to the pawn. Queen g7, rook g8. And now I feel like this is the right thing if we can get away with this because strategically, because it shuts down the bishops, right? We want to keep the position closed for the knights. So rook g8. And now this, you're very similar, like winner or French, all of a sudden. Bishop d2 played. Knight d7. Good. Queen e5. Developing. Queen e4. And we trade. And we get this endgame. And endgame looks pretty nice for black. Like it feels like we have better structure. Knights have good squares. Bishops for white aren't so strong. And our rooks are also good. We've got this like Benko style pressure on the king side. Yeah, definitely nice position for black. You could even continue like piling on here with knight f5. And I think white's position is collapsing. So I don't think white should have allowed this endgame basically. But overall, very nice game here for black. And then rook endgame, we'll see the technique. Okay, little shaky. Little shaky. What? We had a lot of extra pawns. And then b5. Yeah, I don't think we... Hold on. Let's think about this. I don't think we had to give up this 8 pawn, actually. Maybe it's a bit greedy. But like... No, it's okay. It's okay. Here... Yeah, why? I don't like this check. Why are we helping? This is the move that disturbs me, actually, in this endgame. Everything was fine. This disturbs me a little bit because we're kind of helping white's king advance. Although we do have this like b5 idea, but we didn't really need this. I think easiest thing probably is to put the rook on b4. Defend your upcoming weakness. You can play rook a5. Like, I don't really see the problem with this. I think you can still win this. You're 3 pawns up. But let's say you want to keep your life simple. You play rook b4, and then you're just advancing the f pawn. I think this is the construction we want. This stuff is not easy, but it's important to look at because if you can find a nice construction, it really makes your life a lot easier. And sometimes it's like you only have 1 pawn up, you know, then it's like really important to find these kinds of setups. But I think this is the scheme. I think we call it schematic thinking, where it's like now white can't do anything because the king is shut off. the rook can't really do anything because you're just keeping everything protected, and there's just no way to stop your king from making progress here. And now eventually you will have to like get your rook off of b4, but the point is you first push your pawn up all the way to f2 because white can't really stop you from doing this. And then you can't promote the pawn without the help of your rook because white will always give checks. Here actually our rook is extremely well placed, so you actually can just immediately win the game like this. But even if it wasn't so neatly organized, the idea would be like you just put your pawn on f2 first, and then eventually do whatever you need to do with the rook. Maybe you got to move it to g4 or to e4, wherever it might be. By the time white is going after your b pawn, you're already making a new queen. So that's kind of what went wrong a little bit. I think it was still very, very fine, but that's a little bit what went wrong is like, okay, we allow the king forward, and then here we're just giving white more counterplay than they really deserved, I would say. Still very much good enough to win, but more than they deserve, and we never want to give the opponent more than what they deserve. That's very important. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, very interesting game overall. In fact, I just wanted to go back. Yeah, I think here in this position already, I prefer black. I'm not sure, but I am sure that I prefer black. I don't know if I'm right to prefer black, but I know that I prefer black at this point, definitely. Um, so my guess is, yeah, castles wasn't correct. I think white should have taken on uh on g7 here. But really interesting game. This one is instructive because it's like it really shows how to fight against the space advantage. It's like you want to trade pieces, you want to chip away at their center, and you don't want to be afraid to give a bishop, especially if you can damage their structure. I think bishop takes f3. I don't know what the computer will say, but I think practically speaking, it was a very I think it was a very correct decision. So nice. Okay, and we had a second game we wanted to look at. Let's go there. And so are these from the club, Nathan, or like you mentioned the weekly game? Yes. Okay, local club. I see it here. Cool. Nice. All right, e4. And two knights Caro. So opening looks fine. A lot of Caro players do trade on f3 because they're pretty comfortable with these, let's call them light scored positions. You can play e6 too and just kind of play against the bishop pair. I guess I'm seeing a pattern. I mean, actually, in this game, you didn't give up the bishop pair, but you could have. You could have. You can become a specialist in these like playing against the bishop pair positions. And yeah, this is very solid for black as well, but this one is also, I think, considered fine. So bishop d3, white goes g4, and knight g5, queen b6. Yeah, I like this for black. I think white's kind of extended a bit too much on the king side. I don't think they've really achieved anything except weakening their own position. And now you're solid, and you've traded off their best bishop. So I think we have like a great Caro French. So queen b6, knight e2. Uh-oh, knight g4. I was just thinking about g4. Yeah. Nice, nice. b3, 6. Okay, castle. e5. I like how many moves this knight is hanging out on g4. That's not easy to do that, just like mentally keeping that knight on g4. I like that you're just going about your business. e5. Nice. Knight c3. Take. Queen b4. Take. And now it's looking good for black. Everything's opening up. So no, as e5 probably a very nice decision, I would say. I mean, we're eyeing f2, so knight e5, of course, we got knight e5, and otherwise we're either playing e4 or e takes d4. So definitely looking pretty good. And then yeah, I think queen b4 is okay. c3, take. Knight b4, rook c1. Uh-oh. What does Levy say? Danger levels? Danger levels, right? This is danger levels. I don't really know what it means, but I think this is it. And yeah, now we're just cleaning up. Nice. Was c3 best after e5? Maybe that was a better try. I still don't. I still like black's position very much. My instinct would be e4. You could consider taking on d4 too. Probably white takes back with knights. And I mean, I think this position is still very good for black. All these positions should be good for black as long as you keep your extra pawn, right? Because you have an extra pawn, you have a good structure. Like white still has weaknesses. Their king will eventually castle, but yeah, like their pieces aren't great. Like bishop on b2. So I would think you're still doing really well here. E4 maybe would be slightly more tempting to me, but just because I don't see where white's knight is going. And then I don't give myself like an isolated pawn, which is not my biggest concern, but it's nice. So e4 to me feels better. Maybe white can go knight g5. Oh no, but there's a nice tactic here. This is the Carlsen-Geary. You guys know that game, famous Carlsen-Geary trick, where Geary beat Magnus when he was when Geary was, Geary's younger, when he was like 16 or 17 years old, and Magnus was already Magnus. And he got him with this e3 trick, and won a piece. So knight has to go back to g1. So based off that alone, that's enough for me to play e4. We can continue analyze, like maybe e3 here is strong, bishop h4 check. Like we can try to really kill white, but I think this alone is already enough for me to like, because I think black has a lot of options here. You can consider like rook h5 to both double on the h file and set up bishop g5. So yeah, I think either way, white's kind of toast after e5 because there's just too much going for black here. You have the extra material, your pieces are better, you're already castled, and now you're opening things up. So it's like, yeah, strategically you're doing well, so all the tactics are going to be in our favor too. So let's see the technique, because this is maybe one part where could be improved. Whoa. Yeah, for instance, for instance, as I say that, wait, what's going on here? I think we just miscounted the material, because we're just giving up a knight for the 2 pawns, right? That's all that's really happening. I guess, anyway, trading rooks and then giving up knight for 2 pawns. So I don't really like this one. The annotation says, I heard GM Shanklin's question, what if I did it anyway, ringing in my mind, and saw that my idea still worked. It did technically lose material, sure, but I thought the position was still winning, and I felt better about being the only one with a rook on the board. I mean, I think you are still winning there for sure, but I don't think it was a good decision. And so this is where Shanklin's rule, kind of bothers me. I don't know if you guys know Shanklin's rule. There's this thing, it's like Shanklin's rule is very popular, like killer chess training. Everyone's like into it. Oh, Shanklin rule. I'm not so impressed. I don't know. Like the Shanklin rule is that if you see a move that is tempting or thematic, I'm gonna give it my best, explanation. It's like if you see a tempting move that looks like it should work or you want it to work, or it feels like it should, or it's like thematic, some idea, you should, chances are it does work. And so you should really like calculate hard and see if you can make it work. And so he has this question like, if I see a move I want to play, I should ask what happens if I play it anyway. And that's great advice. I think that's great advice in general. The problem is it's like it only takes you so far. It doesn't mean that all of your moves are correct and all of your ideas are correct. Sometimes you're going to latch on to the wrong idea. And in that case, you shouldn't Shanklin rule it. At some point, you should look at something else. Right? So my issue with the Shanklin rule is that ultimately it still just comes down to like calculation and evaluation. It's like, yes, you should like really work hard to make your ideas work if you think something is working, but at the same time, you still have to be objective and then evaluate it properly, which I think Shanklin, Sam was totally agree with. Like, you totally agree. Like, you still have to be objective and you can't just force an idea. You can't lie to yourself and tell yourself that it's working. So this is where I feel like people kind of misunderstand the Shanklin. It's a great reminder to like think tactically in strategic positions and to overcome resistance. Sometimes we reject the move before we look at it. It's a great way to kind of overcome that sort of thing, but it doesn't mean that, always play bishop takes h7, for example, as some people might take it to mean. So I don't like this one because I think your position is better without it. I would suggest, for example, knight f4 check followed by maybe knight e6 to trade off one of white's knights. I think rook c8 here feels extremely tempting just to activate the rook. Maybe even knight f4 check first and then rook c8. Maybe it's kind of tricky just to take the e2 square away from the knight. But anyways, good enough. We're still winning here. But now we have to convert rook against two knights, which is decidedly harder than the other position. And should still be winning, but again, harder. Knight d4, and we snapped. Nice. And now this is easy. Okay, good stuff. So Nathan, maybe moving forward, the one thing I would say we can work on maybe a bit of the technique, but I would say you're doing well. Clearly putting in a lot of time. So keep up the good work. And we'll be seeing you back here again for that heat map. Alrighty. Next, we have Chewy. Chewy graduating again. Coming from 900, maybe even below that. Now graduating to 1300. Let's take a look. Okay, not the best rating graph, not gonna lie. It looks like they're just... Oh, they just joined. So they're a recent grad. They maybe started in the wrong cohort, but now they're figuring it out. Do we have some activity? Oh, we got some activity. All right, so they're starting to log some stuff. Let's go. Annotating some games. Nice. Classical games. Yeah, they're putting in the work. They're already going. Let's do it. All right, let's check out a game from Chewy. And we got one game here. Annotated game. Nice. So rated classical game. Looks like this was 30 plus 30. And this was played on the old leechess.org. Okay, e4, c5, c4. d6. Geary recommends knight c6 in this. Yeah, don't worry about what Geary recommends for the. Yeah, don't worry about it. You just play your chess, all right? Just play your chess. Geary's not. Look, Geary is facing the likes of Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen. Geary is not facing Appalach, right, in the 1,000 to 1,100 cohort. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, knight f6. The most important thing when like playing an opening that you're not super familiar with is getting your pieces out in a way that makes sense to you, right? So it's not just about like, oh, one move and then you're done. Like, no, you need to think about like the holistic setup, of course. So d6 is fine. And this is totally fine, what we did. Maybe, I would develop the knight to c6 instead, put the bishop on d7. Or another very decent setup is to play knight c6 and then g6, bishop g7, followed by d6. Maybe this is what Geary recommends, like this whole setup. So it's really not just about the one move, but this is a very decent setup because it takes advantage of the weakness of white's d4 square. So when white plays knight f3 here, for example, or knight a2, we're just in time to play bishop g7, and we're covering this one with 3 pieces, so white is not able to take the d4 square. And so if black can keep control over this one, then black is generally doing really well in these positions. Not really well, but well, comfortably. Okay, so h3, honestly, white's playing a bit strangely. This move is not necessary. G3, bishop b7, and here we go d5, and it says I miscalculated here and didn't think about the fact that I was losing a pawn. Yeah, looks like white could take twice, but maybe it's still fine for us because we go knight b6 and we can win it back. I just want to point out to the spectators that we only spent 9 seconds on this move. So that's not really enough, a lot of time to say that like you miscalculated. You blitzed out the move and then it turned out to lose a pawn. Okay, that's what happened. that's the more accurate portrayal. Now in terms of d5, yeah, maybe that would have been a better move to play back here, or with knight c6 included. This is why knight c6 is better, because then moves like d5 are supported by the queen, so it's like more active. I think that would maybe have been better. Okay, so here, white doesn't take the pawn. Castles, take on c4, queen c7, and h5, knight f3, knight takes c4. Yeah, I'm not sure about h5. I feel like we want to somehow complete our development. b6, of course, is running into e5. So we wouldn't want to allow this unless we had some tactical way out, but I don't see one. I think we're just losing material. So if that's the case, then I would either start with rook to b8 so that we can play b6 without e5 causing problems, and then bishop b7. Maybe we can play knight e5 like so, and then bring the knight back to c6, and then anyway get the bishop out to the long diagonal, because that's where the bishop wants to be. It wants to be on b7. So we just need to find a way to do that tactically. That's the plan, getting the bishop to b7. The execution, though, requires some precision. So let's say f4, e5, white could play like this. I think this position kind of looks nice for white. It starts to look like white gets some space. Maybe we could fight back, though, with b6, bishop to b7. But that would be one option. I'm not sure if I like knight e5. Maybe rook b8. Maybe this would be a better choice, and then b6 and bishop b7 like that. So h5 is not really solving main problem, which is the development of our queen side. Okay, white gets scared, goes knight f3. I think probably white could have just backed up. I think this is not so dangerous if h4, g4, just getting off the diagonal. But okay, knight f3, we take the pawn, and now we grab the pawn. Now I like that. I like extra pawn is good. e4, extra piece is even better. Extra pawn is cool. What's even cooler is extra piece. So that's nice. h4, okay. And now we get our bishop out. Apparently knight g4 check was possible. Okay, that's a nice tactic, with the idea that when the king moves out of the way, there's still a pin on the h2 square, so black takes. So that's a nice one. That's a nice one. Not an easy trick, but I like b6. I think you're up a piece already. You just need to get your stuff out. Oh, and then we found it here. Nice. But now it's a little bit different because now there's no mate. Knight e3. Bishop takes h4 would, yeah, maybe bishop takes h4 would have been better first. But again, look, we had 17 minutes on the clock. It's a tactical situation. We spent less than a minute on knight e3. So really the lesson here, it's like you just have to spend more time in tactical positions. And the more time you spend, the more likely you are to find better moves. It's really as simple as that. But anyways, I know we're just getting started here. So good stuff. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Okay, next up we have Pirate BT 99 Chess, 3rd graduation, 12, 1300, 13, 1400. And nice, using their chess.com rating. They've been going up and up and up. Not a lot of work logged in the program, so I guess they're doing most of their stuff outside, just using the site to log their stuff. And maybe they're now just like getting back. Actually, maybe they joined. I see they joined the dojo in February, and now they're getting back into it in August. So they made a lot of progress outside the dojo, and now they're coming in to reap the graduation. But let's take a look at some games. So we have Ben's games and my games. Okay, nothing in my games. Jesse's gonna be upset. Ben's games. Nothing in Ben's games either. All right, okay. I was tricked because I saw a folder that said Ben's games, but Ben, the games maybe aren't visible. So I think you maybe haven't been on the site in a while. So check, make sure that the games are public if you want others to be able to see them, so that we can come back and review your games and give you some advice. Okay, next up we have CJ. Look, Mom, I did it. Nice, 3rd graduation in a row. Graduating from 1314 to 141500. Folks, we're not in a Little League anymore. Let's go. Let's take a look at CJ. Okay, logging some work here. Got some recent graduations. A lot of tactics. Doing all kinds of stuff in the time breakdown. And they're doing a lot of the work, especially this last week. Good job, CJ. Keep going. Keep it up. Let's see if we have any games. My games. No games yet. That's okay. CJ, get some games in. Upload those games. We review those games. We give you advice how to play better. You know, the game reviews are very valuable. Folks, you know how much I would do to get one of my games reviewed by like higher level player, you know? So it's worth a lot. It's very valuable. Very valuable. Take advantage of the dojo. Okay, next, Jeff Fishman. Graduating from 1500 to 1600. When it rains and pours, have been on a win streak lately. Feels a bit fast since the last one, but you guys say to graduate when we hit the next level. So here we go. Absolutely. Once you hit the rating threshold, you graduate. That's how it works. And then you just start working on the next level. So let's take a look at Jeff. Looks like he graduated recently, but he's graduating again. And yeah, yeah, look at this guy. Look at this heat map. Yeah, no wonder he's graduating again. Yeah, the work has been done. The work has been done. That's why. That's why. You are now, you know, it's like reap meets sow. This is the fruit that you have bore. So well done. Well done. Okay, Jeff says Pruis doesn't need to do his main and twos, but I do. I'm not a master. Trusting the process. Yeah, nice stuff. Using Lee chess, right? Slowly going up. Great heat map. Okay, clearly a lot of tactics in the past, a lot of games as well. That's what the swords mean. And then lately we've been doing some more of the openings, middle games, end games. Heat map color is truly beautiful. And let's take a look. Well, let's follow Jeff. Yeah, nice activity chart. What have we been working on lately? 1001 chess exercises. Just started reassess your chess. Nice. That's a classic. That's a classic. The big one, I presume. The big, thick guy. Okay, Capablanca's best ending. Sparring. Capablanca. That's a great book. Reassess your chess. I mean, I think that's like, yeah, definitely consider one of the great positional books for the middle class, the intermediates. Let's take a look at latest game. Got a game here against Nimzo 5. Nice. Rated classical game, 45-minute game from leechess.org. Okay, d4 takes dc. Yeah, interesting opening. So white is playing English, playing symmetrical English. d5, d4. Take here. White wins their pawn back, but black manages to develop. Not sure how to evaluate this one. I would say, like, I would think black is fine. Like, maybe white has a small advantage, but all your pieces are out. Bishop on a6 has a target. You're gonna castle next, so I feel like you're kind of okay. You only really have one, let's say, um, one problem, right? Which was the pawns. In terms of other options, let's see. Jeff, what do you play against a d4 proper? Because sometimes that can inform what would be a good opening against knight f3 and c4 move orders like ready English. Of course, for King's Indian players, it's easy. Nimzo Indian. So Nimzo player, a lot of Nimzo players go for e6 here. I'm not saying you have to, but this is another option. And then if white plays knight c3, you'd go bishop b4. In a lot of cases, you're willing to give up the bishop, as usual, and then playing like typical Nimzo kind of style. And if white goes for, let's say, like a g3 setup, well, I guess this is something you would have to deal with earlier. I don't know if white doesn't allow the Nimzo Indian. I don't know if you're playing Queen's Gambit declined or Queen's Indian, but generally you can play these setups here with d5 or b6. These are pretty solid. So with d5, so yeah, so then you would be kind of not exactly transposing to a Catalan exactly, but it would be very, very close. So yeah, that's usually a really natural repertoire that Nimzo players have, is they go knight f6, e6. Yeah, not that c5 is bad. I think it's perfectly fine, but just as another option. I don't really know the theory on this one too well. I'm sure if you checked the theory, I believe this is I'm sure this is a move. Yeah, I think I had a game like this as white, like where it was like this, and I played a3, I think, in this position, and anyways, this is the line. So I'm sure that d4 is also a move, and that it's playable for black, but I don't exactly know the theory here. Yeah, it's just not something I've looked at. So. So yeah, I can't give you too much more on the opening there, but I'm sure there's a database out there that can. Okay, bishop f3. Oh wait. So castles, and we can't take on a2 because of rook f1. Okay, very important detail for the chat. So rook f d8, bishop f3. We go here. White takes and comes in knight c6, rook d7, and then yeah, this starts to feel pretty unpleasant. Yeah, okay, so let's go back. Let's see how we could have avoided that one. So bishop g5, according to your notes, you had to play. Which makes sense because on any other move, white can go knight e7 and get the same rook and bishop versus rook and bishop endgame, which, yeah, looks really pleasant for white. So here there's no e3 because we take on f1. Um, I guess, yeah, we'd have to see on rook c5 that we can defend the bishop. This is tough, though. I think this is really hard. So the position for me already feels difficult for black. So maybe knight b4, I think, was not a good choice, because after takes knight c6, position feels like it's hanging on by a thread. And white just played bishop f3, right? So I don't think he's threatening anything to you. So yeah, we have a lot of improving moves that we could play. King f8, maybe bishop f6. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's not the to me it's not the easiest endgame to play for black. It feels like white's kind of the one that's playing for two results. That's why I was thinking about opening options along the way. Personally, yeah, I wouldn't love playing this position as black, but yeah, at this point, I don't think it's that bad yet. But after knight b4, it definitely feels like it starts to get very difficult. Like bishop g5, rook c5. Like I'm trying to think what would I play in this position after knight c6. Yeah, it'd be really hard for me to find all that stuff with bishop g5, rook c5. It'd be really hard, I think. So I think if I had this in the game, I'm also going like rook e8 and just suffering in that end game. So to me, that makes me feel like this position is already tough after knight c6, basically. So yeah, at this point, I'm not sure about check and bishop b7, but it should be said that it's a difficult position, so it's not easy to handle. But bishop b7, definitely my first instinct here. And then if rook c4, oh, but we can't even take on f3 because there's immediate check. So yeah, we have to play like, let's say g6, white takes. And this endgame, it's not the most fun. I don't know if it's lost necessarily, because you're only one pawn down, but it doesn't look great because white has this really nice grip square on a4 where he can defend his pawn and attack black's pawn. I'd probably start with a5 to get more space. Try to put my rook here. And yeah, 50-50, I'd say. White definitely has their winning chances. But we'll see what we compare it to. I don't know if that's better than what we got in the game or not. Here. This one's basically pretty similar, except it's just a matter of how easy it is to hold the b pawn. These endgames are tough, yeah, because white wants to go after the b guy. And our king is stuck on the back rank, which is a real big problem. So yeah, I definitely think it's been lost for some time. And looks like the opponent has showed a very reasonable technique. Yeah. Yeah, tough one. So welcome to the Catalan. Sometimes you just kind of like, you just get squeezed in one of these end games, and it's a bummer. And like Engine maybe finds some like defenses along the way, but it just leaves a bad impression. It just feels like, oof, if I play this position, I have to find a bunch of accurate moves, and then maybe I can make a draw. That's kind of the best case scenario. So this one for me feels like probably not the best opening, and then a bad decision with knight to b4. Kind of not sensing the danger after takes knight c6. Yeah, and it looks like we blundered knight c6. So I guess this was like, this is kind of calculation thing, because I think in a game I wouldn't even play knight b4 because I would see takes knight c6. I would see I have no comfortable response there, and then so I wouldn't even play knight b4, right? So it's not a matter of you got to this position and then you didn't find the right move. I think at this point it's already super difficult from what I can see. So it's really, I think this was the mistake to land ourselves in that hot water in the first place. But okay, useful game. I mean, look, it was a online game, right? You know, in the past, you had to travel to a tournament and stay at a hotel to get a lesson like this. Now you get the lesson from the comfort of your own home. You know, life's not so bad. Life's not so bad. So nice, very instructive game, I would say. Well played by the opponent. I mean, it was a good end game. So thanks, Jeff. Best of luck, and keep up the good work. I'm sure we'll be seeing you again. Next, we have Simon Dragon 64 getting back to OTB this weekend, playing in the open section at the Van Cleek Hill Open here in Ontario, Canada. Let's go. Shout out Canada. Good luck, Simon, this weekend. Graduating to the 1700 cohort. Let's take a look at Simon's profile. CFC. See, now, guys, we are getting into the tournament players that use their tournament ratings as their main rating threshold. Has a recent graduation. Okay, hasn't logged too much stuff yet, but clearly just getting back into it. Simon says, my father taught me how to play chess at 7. I recently turned 60. And I enjoy playing chess at my local club and playing as in many weekend tournaments as possible. In May this year, I ventured to Cuba. Nice. And played in the senior section of the Capablanca Memorial. I just joined the chess dojo as I want to improve my rating and to have a structured study program. Welcome, Simon. You have come to the right place. It's a great spot to track your work, log your progress, get a supportive community. We definitely follow Simon and yeah, get help on your way to chess greatness. So activity so far, we've just done the welcome to the dojo. And yeah, now getting into the proper cohort, 1700. Do we have any games? No games. Totally fine. Simon, best of luck this weekend. And hopefully we see some of those games annotated and uploaded when you graduate next time. Okay, next we have ODD 623, third graduation in a row. And they just started logging the work. Nice, nice. Tactics, tactics, tactics. Also CFC. Next graduation is 1730. They're 50, 60 points away from that. And let's go to the activity. So yeah, lots and lots of tactics. Reading Woodpecker method, Capablanca's best endings, Woodpecker, reassess your chess, Polgar M2s. Nice. We've really, you know, folks, what's happened is like we've really designed the program for people to do work and get better at chess. And the system is working, you know, the Dojo Chess School is working. All right, no games yet from ODD. Let's get some games in, maybe playing the same tournament this weekend. And we'll see you soon. I think they're just getting started, so yeah, best of luck to them. Next up, we have Tactical, graduating from 1617 to 1800. Nice. Let's take a look at their profile. USCF rating 1800, almost at the next graduation, 1825. And they're also just started using the program recently. So they did a little bit in January and then they just came back for their graduation. Nice. You can totally use the site to just log your rating. You know, I mean, this is something like I feel like not many people talk about, but like I don't know of another site that lets you track like your OTB and your online ratings like we do. Hashtag just saying. Okay, so games. My games. No games yet. All right, let's get some games in. We'll take a look at those. And next we have Kieran VB4. Graduating from 1800 to 1900. We're getting into the advanced groups. 11 points scored. And yeah, that's a rating graph. That shows the weekend grind. Now that's a rating graph. Nice, nice. We got some work in using the chess.com rating, got FIDE rating as well. Activity. Nice. Openings, tactics. Did some tactics tests, puzzle survival, annotating games. Hopefully we have some games. Let's take a look. My games. No games. You know, some people might not want their games public, which is totally fine. But if you guys do, make sure to list them public so we can review them. Okay. Skipping through a lot here. All right. Soccer Alexander Levin, our next graduate from 1819, graduating to 1900 to 2000. Let's go. Alexander. All right. I don't always record my progress, but when I do, I record Dos Equis. No, he writes, I don't always record my progress, but I'm going strong. Sparring positions are great. Nice. Nice. Doing some sparring. Let's take a look. Okay, chess.com rapid rating recently shot up. Wow. That's wild. From 1800 to almost 22. And looks like, yeah, they kind of log work intermittently there. Let's take a look at their activity. Great pie charts. Doing some Chessiverse, Sveshnikov, coach puzzles, game analysis. Nice. Nice. Let's go. Beautiful. All right, let's take a look at some games. Oh, we've collected a lot of badges. Awesome. And we've been a member since 2023. Great. All right, let's take a look. So this is our hero against OTB opponent, who is about 1,500. We're 1,700 going in. And this was, I guess, a classical game. I don't know what the time control is. All right, King's Indian. Let's go. H3. So white really goes for it and takes a lot of space in the opening here, which maybe black could have punished more than they did. So black goes c5, d5. I think c5 is reasonable. Knight b6. Knight b6 doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like the knight is doing a whole lot there. But if black follows up with e6, then it would make sense. White goes bishop e3, and now knight d7. So at this point, I think definitely black really needs to play a move like e6 to fight back in the center. Because black allows white to just get even more space. And then knight f3. And now I think white is doing amazing. Now I think white has just been given everything. So black kind of dropped the ball in the opening here. And there's different ways to play. You can play with e5 too. d5, knight c5 like this. Let's say queen c2. And then against the early g4, I feel like black can often strike with h5. And the idea would be to kind of shut down the king side. And now white has a lot less space compared to the game and doesn't have such an easy attack. And if they ever play f4, black is more than happy to take and utilize the e5 square for their pieces. Otherwise, black can put the knight on b6, maybe play c6 somewhere. It's a very closed but kind of double-edged position. So I feel like that's kind of how black should play it. But yeah, as usual, at lower levels, a lot of players don't really respect the space. And so they just, ooh, yeah, knight f8 is not a great sign. So bishop d3, f6. Oh man, this is hard to watch. This is hard. There needs to be like a sensitivity warning on this game. Okay, h5. Fighting back. Knight h2. I feel like we can afford to be a lot more aggressive based on how the opponent has played thus far. For instance, f5 is kind of an interesting idea. I was thinking about e5 as well. e5 I was less sure about. hg. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is good. You know, Leela Zero came onto the scene and is like, you know what, e6, you can play like this sometimes. But I don't think you need this here because I feel like white's position is so good that we don't need some kind of complicated way to to play here. I should also say, actually, maybe the king didn't need to castle kingside. Maybe it was even more ambitious to castle queenside to get the king out of the way, and then just let your kingside pawns run free. Then you can throw e5 and do whatever you want. At this point, though, after h5, knight h2 is probably fine. f5 looks interesting here. Black's knights are not yet getting to the e5 square, and now we want to kind of break anyway. And if black does something like this, then 100% you break with. I mean, if there was one position in the history of chess to break with e5, folks, it's this one. It's this one. Before black has a chance to plug the hole with a knight, e5. And here, I mean, it's not even a it's not even really a sacrifice. Like takes, we're taking on g5 with something. If takes this way, we can take on c5. We don't have to, but yeah, this is just colossal position for white. I mean, really, really strong. Okay, so this one's fine. Maybe we had better. Now he runs. Okay, a4, a5, knight b5, rook a2. Okay, I guess we're playing b3. I would have started with b3 and then played rook a2. I don't know. I don't know why. We're not worried about f5 here. We want black to play f5. We want him to play f5, right? You have to understand this. We want the guy to play f5 so that we can open everything up like around his king. So at this point, yeah, I mean, okay, let's see how the game proceeds. So here, f5, knight f3. I think we play this one like really slowly, and it's like we gave black a lot of time here to set up the blockade. I think we win this game anyway because our position is just that good. But yeah, I feel like we could have broken through much sooner. But still, overall, very decent game, I have to say. Okay, would love to see more annotations here. I guess this one hasn't been annotated yet. But main things I would say as far as the gameplay. Number one, maybe castle queenside, so we can be more aggressive. And then, yeah, after h5, I think f5 was good. And then here and here. At this point, I feel like we got to try to pop him. You got to try to pop him somehow. Instead of a4, a5, I think we've got to play for b4 here. That would be the way to kind of open up the position. And so this is where it's like, attacking instincts kind of come into play. Some players would even just would just send it right away. And if takes knight b5, and then you're playing c5. And the idea is like you're just opening lines for the pieces and letting them take care of the rest. If a6, knight comes back to d4, and yeah, you can install a knight on e6 if you want, followed by c5. So definitely think this part we could have played a lot more aggressively. But overall, good game. Let's take a look at another one just because a lot of people didn't have games, but Soccer Alexander is taking the time and effort to put their games in. We would like to reward that by reviewing them and scolding all the others that haven't put their games in yet. Okay, next game, we're playing 1950. And Sveshnikov on the board. Nice. I like a good Svesh. Okay, typical theoretical line after e5. So this is like the starting position of the Sveshnikov position, bishop g5. So this is all pretty standard stuff. White goes c4, b4, black castles, pushes a5, bishop e6, e4. So far, I think black is playing completely normal. Both sides, I think are doing the typical thing. Yeah, g3, h4, a4. A4 might be. I think there's other moves here as well. A4 is probably okay. b3, takes, knight d4. White took, we take here, and then we took this one. And then we got this middle game with opposite colored bishops, where it seems like black should be okay, all things considered. Whoa, he got rook e6 though. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. Takes, there's takes. And takes. And if here, who can find the win, guys? Rook h7? Maybe black takes here and then king f8. Yeah. So this was forced, right? Yeah, take, take. There's also queen g7 to look at. Yeah, have to take on g6 because if bishop e6, king here defends. So here, here. I think this one, guys. Or excuse me, taking first. And then this one. Yes, very good, Submarine Mike. This is called tactics. And then if d3, I think we pick up the pawn with check. So we're good on d. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I think we're good on d3. And then we have too many pawns there. Yeah, not to win. Yeah, it's very good, Oscar Chess. Okay, but if queen g7, then I guess here take and yeah, white is up 2 pawns, right? So if we have nothing better, which I don't see, I think we can take. And now d3 a bit annoying. This one's not so clear because b pawn is also hanging. Maybe black could have taken gone queen g7. Not sure. But we took here first. Oh wow. And then takes. Ah, this is interesting. So that we defend with a check. Ooh. But we're still getting a little cooked. But there's d3. There's check. Rook f6. Wow. Sharp game. Whoa. White gave up the queen. Okay, I guess he had to then, because check here and rook is coming to h6. But then we should have won this game. Why we did not win? Queen e2. I guess because it was tactical, huh? But now we won the pawn. Now it should be. No, I think we did win. I think it's just. Okay, it's just wrong results. Or not. I don't know. I don't know what happened. This doesn't make any sense. It's just like I don't know. I don't know. Without annotations, it's hard to understand what's going on. Good game. Rest of the game was interesting. I think black played reasonably well. I don't know. I don't know if you have to go for knight d4 here. You can also, I think, play instead of a4. I think you can go g6 and drop the bishop back. I think, yeah, that's kind of like a main option. At some point, you can take and go knight d4 as well, but yeah, I think in the game actually, black was more or less okay. Alrighty, next up, we have We Shall Win, graduating 3rd time in a row from 2000-2100 cohort to the 21-2200 cohort. Let's go. Maybe we'll have some Dojo Masters soon. Actually, recently, guys, we Jesse just played this tournament in Washington International. I think he did okay. I think he gained a couple points, but 2 of our dojoers were playing for the first place in the under 2300 section. We got Chess Latte and Chess Gains. Some familiar names, hopefully. They were playing for the first. Chess Games ended up winning the whole section. So, it's great. It's great to see our players win. Okay. So, we shall win, just trying to chill while cooking. Cool. I don't know if they mean cooking like actual cooking or cooking like playing good moves on the chessboard. Chess.com wrap at 2372. Nice. Next graduation 2425. And let's see their activity here. Some good activity, some non-dojo stuff. Blitz, a lot of 200 hours of blitz. Dang. Well, at least they're I love that they're uh I love that they're tracking it. 200 hours. Dang. And then apparently they've played 600 classical games in the past year, which doesn't seem right. So that seems like a mistake. I don't know how that happened. But doing some work, logging some stuff. Let's take a look at some games. My games. Here we go. Most recent game. And this was US Junior Open. Okay, great. Very recent game from a couple weeks ago. So we're playing 2100 player. Nimzo Indian, F3. Same-ish. Pretty sharp opening. Pretty sharp line. E4. Takes, E5. Now I think if knight takes E4, white has queen G4 with complications. So here. Bishop G4. Queen D3. Here and bishop E3. Yeah, that's a lot of double rounds. That's basically playing double rounds every day of the year. So white's opening looks pretty good here. I like this. Knight F3, got some space. Bishop E3. Now there's a game here. Apparently Arjun Erigaisi in 2002 Olympiad played D takes E5. And he won against Parleygrass. Though Arjun doesn't always play the most correct chess. He plays very well, but sometimes his positions are a bit dubious. Like he'll just give up a piece and he's like just down a piece. And it's like, Arjun, what are you doing? You're down a full piece? And he's like, yeah, I have compensation. It's like, okay, well, I mean, you're very good, Arjun. I know you win all your games, but I just wasn't sure. But he this is what he does. He just wins these like weird and that's it. White resigned because now bishop f6 check is coming, king takes, and then e7, and white's pawn will eventually promote with the help of the king and the bishop. Nice game. Okay, I don't know if that's actually better, maybe, but okay. It's always interesting to look at the games of Arjun. Let's see what happened here. So 92 G4, and black hits us with takes and F5, which looks incredibly scary. And then gets the piece back, and then our position is somewhat in ruins. And from here, black was able to convert the endgame. B5, nice move. E5, wow. So if pawn takes, then black is, I think, taking on D3 in here. And, but then, wait, we have opposite color bishop. So I think we should have just taken. Well, I don't know what happened here. So B6 takes B7. Okay, some very sharp stuff happened in this endgame. So I don't know, maybe this was also... we end up in this rook endgame, and feels kind of tough to win. And wait, here. And A4. I think we should have kept repeat. I have a lot of questions. I mean, we should have kept repeating here for sure. And now black, okay, was able to win this one. Yeah, sharp game. Let's go back. So white got a little We'll bust it up here in the opening. Knight d2, bishop g6, g4, and then black uncorked this, takes an f5, which to me looks really strong. It feels like black is going to win back their piece one way or another, either with f4 or with fe. And so once they win their piece back, white's king is in shambles, right? So to me, this looks like an absolutely correct sacrifice from black. Takes. Yeah. And just concretely nothing white could do to save the material. So yeah, something went wrong in this opening for white. I'm not really sure. I don't know the theory here, but yeah. Maybe the Argent game or another recommendation from the database can help us figure it out. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe bishop b2. But that's the thing about I'm going to go on a rant here. That's the thing about a lot of these Nimzo lines, like the f3 line. It's like, it looks very promising. It's like very tempting, like f3 system. Levon Aronian plays it. He can beat Magnus Carlsen with it. You know, Caruana plays it. Argent, all these guys play it. But then you play it over the board and you end up with this position with like your king on f2. And it's just tough. These positions are tough to play, in my experience. You have a lot of weaknesses here. Your king is exposed. Okay, you have the two bishops, but they're kind of stuck. You're defending this pawn center. At some point you realize like black's position here is just easier to play. So I would hesitate against recommending the f3 line for a lot of players. I don't think that was necessarily the issue in this game. Of course, you can always improve the opening, but it does lead to some overextended positions that aren't the easiest to handle, in my opinion. Alrighty, folks. So I think that will do it. That's it for the grads. Congrats once again to everyone that graduated this week. And shout out to everyone that is graduating next week. I think, okay, it's not up yet, but I think on Monday we're already going to have a bunch of grads for the next week available. So that'll be fun. I think Jesse will be back here for that next week. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully you guys found it instructive, enjoyed the show. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel. Obviously, check out the Chess Dojo training program if you haven't already and you'd like access to your own guided training plan, tracking your progress, a supportive community to help your chess journey along the way. All right, folks, I think I'm going to end it here. Let's see if we can find someone to do one of those raids at. You guys have any suggestions, let me know. Thank you for following Tall's Fan and everyone else. Search chess category and see. Oh yes, yesterday we raided the STL Chess Club. I think that was a good choice. I think we'll raid St. Louis once again. You guys can enjoy the day one of their Blitz, STL Rapid and Blitz. And let me get to my chat. I'll raid from my phone. Oh, it's me. Okay. /raid. Alrighty, folks. Hopefully y'all have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. I think I'll be back this weekend with another stream. We got Team Maya doing some more training. Gonna be playing the tournament coming up very soon in Portugal, Maya Open. So looking forward to that. Alrighty, folks. Have a good one.